Good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. This video today is for anyone who is interested in working in IT. Today, we've got a very, very important person in the house. This lady has worked in JP Morgan. You heard it right, JP Morgan. She's worked with T-Mobile, Vodafone Group, and a list of other companies that she's worked for. She's a great commercial experience with us today so that if you're thinking of going into IT or you're thinking of looking at career option for your children, this podcast is for you. This lady, the only reason she's here today is because she wants to share her experience with you to inspire. And we are using this opportunity to celebrate you. Can you kindly introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Thank you. My name is Webiloa Ediali. I first of all say I am an IT professional. I'm a mom of two beautiful children. I'm a wife. I'm a philanthropist, and now I'm an author as well.
Good, good. Thank you so much, Webby, for joining us. Where are you originally from?
Originally from Nigeria, Port Harcourt, Rivers State. I know a lot of people go, yay! Yeah, we're not many here, but we are around. So yes, I hail from Rivers State, the land of water.
Good. So when did you leave Nigeria for the UK?
September 2003. Geez, 20 years ago.
Wow, time flies.
It does fly, yeah.
Good. So when you left Nigeria, how did you leave Nigeria? Did you come as a student or did you come on a work permit?
So I came to study for my master's in financial decision management at the University of Bedfordshire.
Okay.
I applied as normally a lot of people do from back home. And I got a decision to come in to study, and I was sponsored by my state government to come down to do that particular.
Good. That's River State government sponsored you scholarship.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you came 2003, right?
Yes, September, yeah.
Okay. What was the experience like when you first arrived in the UK?
I didn't like it. I'm not going to lie. When I came into the UK, I felt everything was tiny. That was my first experience. I remember coming out of Heathrow, it was freezing. I screamed and I ran back in. Then I came down to where I was to live with one of my aunts, Auntie Blessing. God bless you if you're watching this. My brother was there as well. My elder brother lives in Canada now, Prince. And I actually realized that the roads were all tiny, really small in comparison to Nigeria. The houses were so small in comparison to Nigeria. Everything seemed to be normal to people, but I felt they were just a bit abnormal at the time. But yeah, as you say, time changes one's mindset. But yeah, that was my first impression.
Okay, so we're going to go into career now. So you came to study masters in what?
In financial decision management.
Financial decision management, okay. That was which university?
University of Bedfordshire. Then it was called the University of Luton.
Okay.
Then they now became amalgamated to the University of Bedfordshire.
Yeah. Okay. And the masters, when did you graduate?
2005. That's when we actually did the ceremony, but it takes about a year to finish the course, yeah.
Okay. So when you finished the course in 2005, what was the first job you got in the UK?
When I was actually still doing the job, I did some side jobs. I'm sure a lot of people will identify what I'm saying. So I did some part-time jobs. One was for TNT. Then I just did some other little like temporary jobs as well.
Okay.
But my first job after I finished, when I graduated, was in London. It was for a company at the time called, I'm trying to remember the name now, it seems so long ago, but it was an IT job, to be honest.
Okay.
It was more around the other side of IT, where you're into more sales for IT rather than the back end. So yes, it was totally different.
Okay.
And yeah, I remember now, it's called Tangible Benefits Limited. That was the name of the company I worked for. That was my first proper job that I got a paycheck every end of the month for. Yes.
Okay. So the name sounds a bit cheesy. Tangible Benefit
Limited. Yeah.
Okay. So you were working in IT role.
Yes, I did work in an IT sales role. That's what it was more tailored to. It's not really when you go in the role, they won't sell it off to you as a sales role.
Yeah.
But it was really us trying to sell IT infrastructure and stuff to sell companies, equipment and all of that. So it was more of a sales role, yeah.
Okay. So at what stage from the early days in your career did you decide that this is going to be something I'm going to do long term?
So at that stage, I was really, when I finished my finance degree, I wanted to work in the financial industry, to be honest, because I think a lot of people have that mindset. What you study, you want to really get your experience from that. So I wasn't keen on the IT wholesale thing. It wasn't me, even though I was thriving and doing very well in it. At some point, even my manager then said it came naturally to me, but I felt, no, this is not what I want to do. I want to work in a financial house.
Yeah.
So based on that, I started applying for jobs within the financial houses I could see. At this time also, I have actually met someone who is now my husband, and there were other things going on in the background. So it's a bit distracted there.
Yeah.
But I actually got my first financial job working with HBOS in Scotland.
Okay. So you got your first financial job with HBOS.
Yes.
How did you now move back to IT?
So how I moved back to IT was I did a lot of contracting in between that for a lot of years. And going back into IT for me was, currently I was on a job within Vodafone that I've been hired to do. And I loved my job. There was nothing wrong with it, but I wanted to diversify. Sometimes you just feel you want to try something different, something new. And I saw this opportunity internally in Vodafone, which is what I love about Vodafone, that opportunity they give you to be able to move, use your transferable skills and get something different and try something new. So I actually went in and I contacted the manager. I said, I'm looking at this role you're currently hiring for. And he responded back and said, yeah, it's open and I'm free to apply for it. So I got my resume together. I know it might not say too much IT, and that's what a lot of people might be wondering, oh, but what if I don't have things that really kind of like tailored to the IT spec and what they're looking for? But there are specifics that are basics that you should have. For example, stakeholder management. You know, I had my project management experience, my portfolio management experience. I knew how to manage changes, risk issues. There were basics that were needed as part of that niche, because you'll be still working with different people and relating with people. So based on that, I put all my strengths together on my CV, and I kind of enhanced my strengths to let that showcase that was something I was capable of. So kind of like looking at the job spec and saying they wanted 13 of this. Maybe I don't have all 13, but the 8 I do have, I kind of like made sure they were obvious and they were kind of like in your face to the managers. So when I went in for the interview, which is what a lot of people do, then you're able to talk more around those skills and kind of sell yourself. Don't sell yourself short ever. Sell yourself in terms of, this is where I have my strengths. I might not have 1 or 2 of these things you're looking for, but I'm a keen learner and I'm able to, and my manager was sold immediately. And that's how I went on to get my job.
Good. It sounds to me what you're saying is, for anyone who has the opportunity to be interviewed, you know, that's the opportunity for you to sell your strengths, you know, to try, because you may not have a second chance.
To be honest, it's, I say to people, first of all, your CV is your first sale pitch, okay, to get your foot in the door. Then the second sale pitch comes from you. So you have to sell yourself, and never, I think this is where a lot of people lose it, because they don't have that self-confidence, because they believe, I've never worked in IT. So what can I say to an IT professional that I'm sitting in front of, you know, to kind of sell myself? But what I think you should do at that point is, know thyself, know your strengths, bring it all out, and also play in front of them the fact that you are willing to learn, because no one knows it all. Even the person sitting interviewing you doesn't know it all. So they know coming in, you have to learn. You have to still get used to their new systems. You have to get used to the environment. There's a lot of changes that is expected. But the fact is, the ability and the mindset you come with, that you're ready to adapt and to learn and to change and to, you know, get ready for that role, is what they're looking for, is that drive, is that passion. So that is what actually gives you a job. And a lot of the time, people learn on the job. So that is the first thing you need to get your leg into. So when you get there, sell yourself, sell all the strengths you have, and call out the key areas that kind of align to what they're looking for, the requirements, because you will see them ask specific questions around that. When you have the opportunity, showcase yourself in terms of things you've done previously that are quite similar.
Good. Quick appeal. Guys, we set up the Launch Club to celebrate people from marginalized community, because we know how hard it is for people to migrate from their home country to a new country, right? The obstacles, the unseen challenges that they go through. A lot of people from these communities, they are not being celebrated by the mainstream media. So we are celebrating people from marginalized community who have done very well to inspire others so that they can share their experiences, so that with what you learn from them, you don't have to wait that many years that it took them to get to where they are for you to achieve your goal. That is the idea behind Launch Club. Please, guys, continue to support us, continue to share the videos, continue to follow us on social medias. That's all we ask from you. This channel is not just for anyone, it's for all of us. So if we succeed, the community succeed. Thank you so much for all your support. Well, the question I want to ask you now is, if there's anyone who is watching us right now, who is in their late 20s or mid 30s, who is thinking, oh, I need to change career. I'm thinking of going into IT. What would be your advice to that person?
I would say to the person, first of all, know what you want to do in IT.
Okay.
That's the first thing. You have to know what within IT you want to do, because IT is very diversified.
Yeah.
Then I would say focus on what is currently not a trend, but what people are looking for to go into that is future proof. Yeah. For example, within IT, everybody's talking about digital. And when we mean digital, it's a form, it's a style of delivering IT. It's a style of how people work, a way of working mindset. So when you're looking at what you want to do, you can look at courses that are aligned digital, aligned to lean management, for example. You can look at things that are like cybersecurity. Everybody's talking about how we want to secure our infrastructure, and all that is going on online, we have to be secure so that people don't, we talk about hackers and all of that. People are passionate about that. So you want to go into a mainstream that is actually buoyant and can actually future-proof you for, when you're going into that stream. So that you can,
trainings that they could access.
Yes. So there are many online trainings, and some of them come from anything from £5 up to higher, depending on what you want. So for example, there are some platforms that I've heard of that people go on. One of them is, I'm trying to remember the name now. I can always put the name in the link at the bottom. But yeah, there are a few of them you can go on, and they have courses that range from £13. They teach you things about lean management, and you kind of sit a quick exam at the end of it, and you get a certificate at the end of it. Those things can kind of brush up your skills. And believe me, a lot of this stuff are all terminologies because you're already doing it. But it's just that you need to kind of like freshen up. It's like a refresher course, get yourself into that from an IT perspective. Then what you do is, once you have those courses, you've passed those courses, you add them to your CV. And you also, when you go to apply for jobs, you apply for jobs that are specifically tailored to what you're going for. For example, if it's cybersecurity and you've gotten a cybersecurity accreditation, you make sure you go for jobs that are on cybersecurity, because the terminologies that will be used will be similar to what you learned within that course, and that's what you want when you go in for a job application.
You have worked for some of the biggest companies on this planet.
You always say that.
Vodafone, T-Mobile, the mighty JP Morgan, right? Are some of the companies that you worked with. What would you say are the strategies that have helped you navigate the corporate world?
I would say be yourself. Okay. People lose themselves when they go into, especially big companies, because in big companies, most of the time people find that they're just a number, and it's not what you want. You want to make an impact. You want to go into a company and add value, which is really important. So when you go into a company and you start off on a new role, a lot of people go with that zeal because you want to make a change. You want people to know you're here and you're making changes. But somewhere along the line, people start losing that if they're not consistent. What I will always say is, stay true to yourself. What drove you to even start that job in the first place? Should keep driving you, and it should keep, ask yourself questions, take a pause, reflect in between while you're working. If not, you lose your momentum, you lose your passion, and you become just another number, and it's just another day job, which is not what you want. You want to be in a job that you wake up to every day and have a reason to go to, and you're making a change and making a difference.
Good. I've got one last question for you, which is, if there's anyone here who is thinking of career for their children, and they're thinking of, should I encourage my children to go into IT, what would be the advice that you will advise parents?
They should go for it. I think parents, a lot of children these days stir more into arts, and it's not a bad thing. It's good. I have kids, as I said earlier, and my daughter, I encourage her to try everything. And just to make sure she's open-minded, because in the future, if she wants to study medicine, engineering, or wants to study any of the STEM courses, being one of the spheres, including IT, I want to make sure she's happy to be there. And I'm going to say this clearly, having worked with a number of telco and IT genres now and companies, there are not many women out there, especially in very high positions, that actually are able to drive and to be able to make a change the way they want. We have so many women in IT, don't misunderstand me, but when you're talking about very high banding, sitting on board levels, we're not too many of them. You always find out the men, when you evaluate the men against the women, we're quite short-numbered there. But it is something I would definitely like to see more women climb up that ladder. So if my daughter tomorrow wants to be an IT professional, I would definitely encourage her to go for it. I think it's an area that, one, pays good money, two, is short in terms of diversity and where women can sit and make a difference, and just generally in terms of what it has to offer. It has so much to offer. As I said earlier, IT is so diversified. When people think IT, they think computers, but that's not true. IT is not about computers. There's so much more than computers. You're talking about systems, services. You're talking about changes, infrastructure. It is amazing. There's no limit to it. It's really a beautiful sector to work in.
Good. Webby, we are celebrating you while you are alive, because I think that's what we need to be doing. We're giving you all the accolade because you deserve it, from where you've come from to get to where you are today.
Thank you.
And I'm sure your story would inspire a lot of people who are watching this video. I want to thank you very much for coming to speak to us. It has been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you.